and welcome to Flashback Film Fan. What is this again?
Film Flashback Face-Off.
Okay. Hey, welcome to Film Flashback Face Off.
Yeah.
Where we face off films and flashbacks and all
That's
sorts
where-
of nonsense.
Are the slightly older people on the show? In this case, it would only be Richie and me, since Carl decided
To go have tacos.
to go have tacos again because he's a big taco fan.
We had personal business. So good for you, Carl. Go get that taco.
So we pick a movie that the younger fellas, not Carl. Carl is definitely not one.
No.
Jason and Raymond, if we pick a movie they've never seen from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they watch it, and then they tell us whether we're idiots for liking it, or which I got last week, or if they think the movie is good and holds up after many years.
All
I'm going to
right.
make that a little tighter the next time.
Yeah.
It's better when I write it.
Yeah. Especially when you write it. By the way, I'm Richie.
I'm Jim.
Jason.
And I'm Ray.
What movie we doing today?
Dr. Detroit.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
What? The bad man from Michigan himself?
Yeah.
Chiropractor.
All right, I made Richie, before you came on, I made a prediction. What is the number one quote we always quote from this movie?
Oh, get down with your hot keto self.
Oh, no. That's not the... That is a
Of course
quote.
it is.
But that is not the number one we quote from this movie.
What's the number one quote?
You like shrimp?
Oh, that's you like shrimp. Come down to Louisiana. We got a whole mess of shrimp. Oh, man. That is true. Yeah. You like shrimp?
So,
Down the
Dr.
bayou, we
Detroit...
got a whole mess of shrimp.
Dr. Detroit is a 1983 comedy directed by Michael Pressman.
Hold on, man. If people could only see Ray's face when Jim said comedy.
This was actually the first comedy Bill Murray did after John Belushi died.
This would be Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, so
Dan
Bill Murray.
Aykroyd, correct, not Bill.
Bill Murray. If Bill Murray did it, they reshot it with Dan Aykroyd.
So this is from 1983.
83.
It also starred Howard Hessman from WKRP in Cincinnati. And who
Fran
else was in
Drescher?
this? Fran Drescher,
Donna
of course.
Donna Dixon.
Donna Dixon, who
and two other
Dan
ones.
Aykroyd did meet her on this movie and did
Yes.
marry her after this. We were saying Spies Like Us, but they made Spies Like Us after this.
After this, right.
Fran Drescher was
Yep.
quite
Brown.
surprised to see this movie. That's the
Cameo
name.
from James Brown, right?
Yeah.
Also, Carl from Breakfast Club also made a cameo in this.
What was he in this? What was he in this?
He was the pimp that said, "Hey, we'll see you at the Players Club or at the Players Ball."
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
I was like,
Know
hey.
who else was in this? And you
She's
got to be
into
an eagle eye to
Malakas,
see it. If you look in the classroom, there is someone sitting in class from another famous movie that he made slightly after this. I'm not going to tell you because you'll never guess.
I missed it.
Cameron from Ferris
Cameron's-
Bueller's Day Off. Yeah.
He's one of the
That's
students.
funny.
Yeah, he's one of the students. He's sitting there. He's wearing glasses. He doesn't say anything.
Okay.
When Cameron was in Egypt's land, let my Cameron,
go.
I'm dying. You're not dying. You just don't have anything fun to do.
What do you think
He'll
better to
keep
do?
calling me. He'll keep calling me.
Shove a lump of
All right,
coal.
enough of the good movie. Let's talk about Dr. Detroit.
Yeah, ma'am. That's talk. Oh, boy.
So we watched this. I remember seeing this on video. I never saw this in a theater.
No.
It was on video, saw it, and I think it was because of the Devo tune that I liked it so much because I love that tune.
Shout out to
The,
Devo.
Title Dr.
tune.
Detroit by Devo.
The funny doctor. It has time to operate. Yeah.
So, Richie, what do you remember about this?
I remember it being funnier. So, it's just one of those,
Yeah,
snow
that
day
you
movies to
remember
me.
it funnier than it is because you quote it so much.
Yeah. But there were still parts that I laughed out loud, and some parts I was just like, Jesus Christ, what are they doing?
Yeah, get your
But-
hands off the fixtures.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite scenes.
A lot of racism. A lot of racism.
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay.
Especially with that judge. Jeez.
Yeah. When he tried to piss off his limo driver to beat him up, he's like, my grandfather owned your grandfather. I was holy,
Yeah.
Oh,
holy
you mean
moly.
Diablo?
Yeah, Diablo
Diablo.
Washington.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best name ever.
Get down with your hot keto self.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have done without the speech at the end.
Oh, yeah, the El Guapo speech.
Yes. Definitely I could have done without that. The dance was pretty funny because it was very Elwood Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of that. And then, James
yeah,
Brown's
yeah.
back.
Right.
All right,
He called in some favors for this movie.
Yeah, it's because it was just Dan Aykroyd. Sure, I'll get James
Yeah.
Brown.
All right. Well, Jason, what did you think of the film
Well,
Dr.
well,
Detroit?
so without even seeing the movie, I had no idea what direction this movie was even about. So the whole plot line completely surprised me. Yeah.
Had a
I
plot line?
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yes, it did, actually.
A pimp on the run. We forgot to say what the synopsis is. A pimp on the
Yeah.
run trusts his call girls to a meek professor of literature who accepts the challenge.
Yeah. Well,
Tell us about this tandoori thing.
Well, I think this is the first movie where I've really seen Dan Aykroyd actually have, I guess you could call it full comedic freedom range. Because usually in all of his movies, he kind of plays a specific type of co-star. He's never really the lead.
Right. He's usually
right.
more of a straight
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. So this one was definitely a little bit off the hinges for me regarding Dan Aykroyd. I thought some parts were funny. The movie was kind of weird in some aspects because in the beginning, he's a super geeky nerd. And then I understand when he meets, the pimp dude and he meets the call girls and just the obstacles this dude's willing to go through to protect those girls or, take on this persona of Dr. Detroit just because he had one of the best nights of his life. That kind of, he could have said no any time in this film. I'd be like, no, what am I doing? But he's like, you know what? You're right, sir. Or the scene with one of them getting arrested and he goes to the judge. He buys that dude's suit and he goes through this whole charade just to get this girl out of jail. Which I'm just like, dude, was it that great? Did you hook up with all three of those girls? All four of them? You had the best night of your life, clearly, but
he was a professor of comparative literature, and he would talk about chivalry in the class. So he needed to. He was protecting
he was walking the walk, is what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I actually thought the whole persona of Dr. Detroit was hilarious. How his I guess idea of what Dr. Detroit was.
Yeah.
A chiropractor.
I don't know. Yeah, a chiropractor / pimp / he seemed like he
owned
skimpy.
fried chicken chains.
Fried chicken chains.
Yeah. I mean,
fried chicken chains.
yeah. He did it all. So I just thought it was so funny. The
I have to
humor
collect
was
the rent from the local Hebrew.
the humor was terrible, but it was terrible in a way where when he was Dr. Detroit, I found myself laughing quite a bit because it was so over the top. It kind of reminds me of movies The Pest or Pootie Tang. It's kind of
right.
It's kind of movies where it's going to be stupid, it's going to be ridiculous, but you can't help but laugh because the character is just over the top. But
right,
yeah, all in all.
So I don't know about you. The analogy that I use for these types of movies, for us, this was a snow day movie.
Okay.
Like you got stuck at home. Yeah. You pulled it out. Snow day. Dr. Detroit, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's either that or go outside and shovel. I'm going to watch Dr. Detroit.
It's the first time I ever saw speed walking.
Oh, yeah. At the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. So goofy.
Well,
With the
in the
glasses
movie.
with the little rearview mirrors on it. So you can see behind him. Why?
And I thought the main villain, Mama, I thought she was terrible.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
it made no
the whole
sense.
the whole happened to be, I guess, swords, but I think they were giant kebabs, but they were swords. That whole scene at the end with her with a broken arm, and anyone could have stepped in and stopped that at any moment.
Right.
She's an older lady who clearly isn't very mobile. What are we doing here?
And her henchmen just stood around watching. Yeah.
They were the
Tweedledee and
worst,
Tweedledum.
man. Oh yeah, and their name was Yul Brenner, with last name, which is the same last name of one of the Jamaican bobsledders in Cool Runnings.
Yeah,
The-
Yul Brynner.
Okay, Yul Brenner
And
was
the actor.
Yul Brenner was an actor who had a shaved head. That's why
Yeah.
they called him Yul Brenner. That was not their names in the movies. Their names were Johnny and Carson.
Oh, okay.
Johnny Carson.
Yeah, because I've heard that term before. So
Yes,
I didn't
called
hate the
him
movie.
Yul Brenner because Yul Brenner, who you will see if we choose the Magnificent Seven, because
Westworld.
Yul Brenner was the star of that movie. Him and Steve McQueen.
King and I.
Also,
yeah,
the
so
King
you
and
know-
I. Yes, that's
yeah.
right. That is correct.
etc.
But
He
yeah,
was also the villain robot in
Westworld.
the Westworld movie, the original.
But yeah, overall, I did not hate this
He-
movie. I didn't love it either. It was just
All right.
I might watch it again, maybe, but I don't know. I definitely saw a different side of Dan Aykroyd that I don't think I've ever seen, and it was outrageous. So yeah, I guess that's my take. And he ended up with one of the call girls at the end, Fran. So
That's right.
They all had a happy ending. They all just married some
Yeah.
guy that's.
they literally
care
all
of
had
it.
a happy ending.
They all got out of
Yeah,
prostitution.
like
Although
I said,
that movie they teased at the end was going to be made until
Oh.
this thing flopped.
I mean, the Wrath of Mom.
Wrath of
At
Mom.
the Wrath of Mom.
Yikes.
His mom was crazy too, because
Yeah.
when
yeah.
that donor, when he got kidnapped, they never talked about what happened to him.
Yeah.
Why he was kidnapped. He shows up with the briefcase in his underwear, and then the wife's, "Oh, you look, you need a shower." So what did they do? Did they molest you? I need to hear every single detail. And I'm like, are we not going to talk about what happened to this dude? He got kidnapped by
Yeah.
some bikers.
And she just accepts it.
That was the end
All
of it.
they all cared about was the
His-
check.
His
Yeah.
mom was over the top. So I thought that was pretty funny. That would have been a good sequel, actually.
And what kind of college do they run? Where they can go out of business in a week.
Right. And why is he still living
Right.
at home? With his parents.
Because that university probably doesn't pay jack because they can't even make their payroll.
Oh man! And then one more thing: the original Pimp too. It was really that easy to get off the mama.
Yeah, to make
She's
whole
a mobster or a bookie, so he could literally. It was that easy for him to make up that story and be
Get out.
off, free and clear off the hook, and be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
end up in
she was obviously,
Samoa.
she was obviously not very good at her job.
There was
Her
no
mob
motives
job.
in this movie.
Her
at
Yeah,
all.
no
like
job.
none.
Her mob job. She was not a very good mob boss.
Yeah, because this movie could have ended at any point. There was no motives for anybody. Like I
Nope.
said, this was all. Dan
This
Aykroyd.
was a vessel for Dan Aykroyd just to around. That's
That's
all,
exactly what
all
it was.
this was.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, now, Raymond, what do you think of the film?
So I think we kind of hit a lot of
Dr.
the.
Detroit.
Yeah, I think we hit a lot of the main points. I mean, power walking at the beginning, Devo. I just feel like it was just a weird movie that's glamorizing prostitution, and it's gonna be okay at the end. You're just gonna marry someone, and
Hell yeah.
you know, oh well.
No.
You live a
Prostitution's
glamorous,
bad.
fun life. It's like going out on the weekends, going out to Old Town Scottsdale, and then you're a
Well,
prostitute. I don't know.
this was according to IMDb. This was a short-lived run of ordinary people becoming pimps movie. You got Night Shift
Yeah. Oh.
with Michael Keaton and
Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler. And
Have you guys
also-
seen that?
No.
And they play Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton play coroners who become pimps.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Fucking Michael
But this is
Keaton
also like during like,
genius in it.
the dirty times of New York City, right? When that was all.
Well, this
out
was
in the open.
Chicago.
And
Yeah, this was
like,
Chicago.
back in the late 70s, 80s, it was really rampant
Oh,
in
yeah.
your face. So I get that's
So
why
did they really
did
have?
this.
Did they really have a pimp balls?
Player
like
balls?
they did at
The player
end?
ball?
Yeah.
Player ball.
Yeah.
Player balls, yeah.
They have those, yeah.
They look they're
Also,
having a
Risky
great time.
Business.
They look like a
Risky
lot of fun.
Business was the other one.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
That. What
Yeah.
about Pretty Woman? Right. It's another
Yeah.
prostitute.
Yeah, but he didn't become a pimp. He just married the prostitute.
Right.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Yeah.
Looking with a heart of
I'm just
gold.
thinking of the types of movies that have prostitutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I think it was just a mess around movie for Dan Aykroyd, maybe to get back out. His buddy just died, John Belushi, and he just wants to do something fun and crazy and zany. And it just lets him, it made no sense for his character to start impersonating and come up with these other characters, like the lawyer from the South. He just could just turn it on, right? Like, oh, okay. He can totally get into character and he was this nerdy guy, but now he can all of a sudden become super confident and become these otherworldly dudes, and it didn't really make any sense. Jason was saying, it was a really good point. There's no motive. There's no point. Had he been blackmailed maybe into doing this? I mean, I get the chivalry thing because he's a teacher, but it just really, that was until you pointed it out, Jim. I really didn't even see that. I was like, oh, okay. But it just very loose motives for him to just be a zany, weird character. And then honestly, but when he finally came out as Dr. Detroit, I don't know what I was expecting him because he went to the art department and he's gonna have some costume. I know it's gonna be crazy, but he comes out and he's so stiff. He's on stilts. His power walking he does from the beginning. I guess that came back in because that's how he walks and runs. But then he has a gauntlet Claw. He looks the bad guy from Inspector Gadget. If Claw turned around and looked at that, I couldn't take him seriously as an enemy anymore.
Well, that was
Villain.
a little ode to James Bond, that claw thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in one of the
Live and Let Die guy.
Live and Let Die.
The henchman had a claw.
Yeah.
It was just weird. And then he had, his hair and his voice. It was kind of Beldar from Coneheads. Like, that
Yeah,
whole kind
exactly.
of sound. So
Yeah.
that was a little familiar. But, like a lot of actors, they kind of rinse and repeat their voices and stuff. Everybody's just all of a sudden Mom just leaves. He wins a sword battle and he exiles her, and she's like, "Okay, all right. I try to shoot you with guns, and then we just and now I'm out. Cool. Like, yeah, you won the day.
You beat me with a very
Awesome.
But you beat me with a large chicken skewer.
Yeah, it just made no sense. And then his mom, Clifford's mom, is, oh, that's my boy. What is going on? It doesn't make any sense. And then everybody just hooks up at the end, and they're just all live happily ever after, and it's no problemo. This made no sense. The movie made no sense in that sense.
He had the best night of his life because he would have done anything for those four call girls in Diablo. He would have done anything for him.
Yeah, I mean, if
Jason gets it.
I don't know. Did you notice the first pimp? He had a coke nail, the pinky coke nail, and they're all just getting hammered.
Smooth Walker.
Yeah,
Smooth Walker.
And then the one girl, Jasmine, is just inhaling marijuana and just expelling it into his mouth multiple times and just get him really messed up. I don't know.
Yep.
It's just the whole premise was just
Is
weird.
that the one who? Is she the one who ended
Asian.
up with the NFL sports team with Diablo?
Yeah, they start like a sports team, or they own one.
Okay,
they take all their money.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And then the one girl becomes James Brown's manager. He just met her that night, and he's you can manage everything.
Another thing too, I didn't understand is how did the Dr. Detroit persona explode till everybody was talking about him? Because it was a matter of a couple of days, right?
Yeah, Diablo was on the
that
streets
part.
telling everybody, the doctor's in town. And then,
they all told about him, and then he made
rumor
the
mill.
appearance.
Yeah. And then he's carrying around a little doctor's bag.
That was funny.
I was, this is... The character itself was pretty funny because it's just so over the top. And I guess definitely back in 1983, it's just so zany. It's funny because it's just so impossible. It's funny. But watching it now, 40 plus years later, it's this movie does not hold up. I don't think I'd ever watch it again.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I have seen it multiple times. It's not I've watched this a couple of times and that's it. I did see it multiple times. It's not quite as funny as I remember it, and it was a little too ridiculous in some places when they sped up the film of him jumping around.
Jumping into the
jumping in the hot tub, and the driving through the fence with the silhouette of Dr. Detroit, the
very cartoony.
coyote.
Or him him sneaking up on Mama with that machinery and clamped her.
Yeah, I was okay.
How did
what?
she not hear this?
Standing perfectly still the whole time.
What's that
Or
in
the
the
fact
dark?
What's
Nasty
going
things.
Nasty things lurking in the dark.
The fact that she even
Show
runs a
yourself.
limo service, but also wants to be like a prostitute kingpin. She made no sense too.
Well, I mean,
Wants to be on the madame.
running a limo service and doing a lot of dirty underworld things
Yeah.
is a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
probably the
so-
most realistic.
Yeah.
So
For-
I still like the song.
Yeah.
And there were parts of it I still really like. It's one of those movies where I think half of it I think is funny and the other half is a little too ridiculous.
Yeah.
If it wasn't
Like-
Dan Aykroyd, if it was anybody else, I would have hated
Yeah.
this movie. Dan Aykroyd's the only good part because I like Dan Aykroyd and I do think he's funny, and I think he's the only reason it worked for what it was.
That is
but-
true.
And you can see the evolution of his performance from this movie to the character he played in Caddyshack 2.
Mhm.
Mrs.
Richie-
Esterhauser.
Yeah.
Mrs.
Mrs. Esterhaus.
I think Dan Aykroyd plays his best either a nerdy funny guy or an asshole funny guy in The Great Outdoors. Like that's
Yeah.
his wheelhouse.
Oh,
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
John
make
Cannon's
car
brother in
parts. Like,
exactly the funny asshole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zelensky.
Well, some of my
Zelensky.
favorite
Yep.
Dan Aykroyd performances are one, Ray Stans, of course, from Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah,
Ghostbusters,
Ray Stantz.
But
Nerdy funny guy.
also, whatchamacallit, Zelensky from Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Mhm. What did you hear
I
the
think
fan
Zelensky
theory?
and-
You got one. You got one by me. Savor the flavor because it won't happen again.
Did you hear that fan theory that Dan Aykroyd from The Great Outdoors, when he gets the money, the loan, he starts Ray's car parts,
Zelensky.
and he's the same character, but he just reinvents himself. It's the same guy though from The Great Outdoors.
it makes sense. It
Yeah.
totally
That's
makes
funny.
sense.
Because he still
I
kind of has
love-
that,
I
that
love those
Chicago
movie
accent.
theories.
His hair real
Yeah.
high.
All I know is
Sorry to hear
Dan-
about your dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd in movies loves marrying hookers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he loves hooking
Yeah.
up with ghosts and prostitutes, and he's just a bit of a war.
So
dog in
this
all
is the
his
second
movies.
movie he married a hooker
Yeah.
at the end of the movie.
So, Richie, what is your impression of the movie after having watched it again?
Like I said, it's still going to stay in my,
Snow day.
I'm not deleting it, but it's definitely, for what I remember of it, I still like it. There's a lot when I watched it tonight that I was just, there was a lot of really dumb that I could do without that. I could do without that. And then, the courtroom scene when he's, the shrimp and all the stuff that we quoted. So,
Yeah.
that always, it just makes me laugh. Like when he did the shrimp thing, then I laughed out loud. Was
I
just
know.
like,
Because I know it's coming.
you like
You
shrimp?
like shrimp?
You
Oh,
come down the
indeed I-
bayou, we got
oh,
a whole
indeed I
mess of
do.
shrimp.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
come
I'm
down.
buying me a whole
We got a
mess of
whole
shrimp.
mess of shrimp.
Whenever I make shrimp, I say that. It happens every single time.
It's just so stupid. It is.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid.
I just can't believe he went through all that trouble just to get
Right.
He just met. Yeah.
the night
Right,
before, like the next day.
Yeah. Nobody saw that
Yeah,
guy
it-
outside the courtroom dressed like that, and then he's wearing the exact same clothes.
This is a movie that I watch probably like once every 5-10 years. This isn't it's not on my
Not
phone.
your go-to.
It's on my computer, but not on my
Not
phone.
on your phone. Yeah.
Right.
Well, this got a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
That makes sense. I agree with that.
And some of the quotes of the reviews, a couple of the ones I liked, there's no sense of momentum, structure, or escalating comedic craziness. It's a feature-length SNL skit, and it's the kind they air
Yeah.
right before the end credits.
Yeah, that's a really good review.
Yeah, that's a great
really good.
review.
And this one, to be honest, it plays a lot better when you're 12.
It's true.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird movie.
Yeah, so this movie.
I just want to
Had a-
see Ray as Dr. Detroit.
Dude, Ray, you
Yeah.
would kill kill it as Doctor
You would-
Detroit.
I'm
man.
telling you,
I'll work on a dance
Can't
number
do it.
with you.
Okay.
You know.
right?
You'd be my
That's
hoe.
right.
You'd be my hoe, Jay.
For sure, dude. I'll do it, dude.
My hoe for sure.
So this movie, what had going for it was it was 89 minutes.
yeah,
It
it's
wasn't
nice and
even
short.
90. It was 89 minutes, which was nice.
Yeah.
When movies were movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
A
It
lot
had
could
a
happen
budget
in
of
80 minutes.
Had a budget of $8 million and made $10.3 million.
Technically a success.
Technically.
Seven of it
But-
went to James Brown.
you know he did that for a fee.
Seven of it was just the Coke budget.
I bet though I bet you the filming of this movie was a lot of fun. I bet Dan Aykroyd had the cast and crew dying
yeah.
when they were shooting this film.
Mm.
I wouldn't even know how to make that costume. I'm thinking about how do I get a yellow leisure suit and white platform boots?
Well, it wasn't a leisure suit. It was yellow slacks. There you go.
was-
Yeah,
There
and
it
then
is. You get
the
yellow
second
It was
time
slacks.
he
green.
pulled
It was
out.
it was green slacks, a yellow blazer,
Yeah,
white
yellow,
shoes.
Yellow blazer, yeah.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
second time he just
and then
turned
the
his suit
players
inside out.
ball. Yeah,
Right.
he had green. He had
He had
He had a
purple
red-
pants
purple pants
and a red jacket.
Yeah, he looked
and a red
he looked
jacket.
like
That's right.
Yeah, you just need a obnoxious
Clifton.
suit, man, with a marijuana chain or something.
Yeah.
And you just need
red
a
shirt.
you just need
a doctor's
a gauntlet.
Yeah, just fucking Lancelot hand.
and Harry Carey hair. You're good, man.
Yeah.
You could totally pull it off.
Harry Carey hair. That's so fucking.
That's
It is
right.
Harry Carey hair.
It's true.
Hey.
That's exactly. Hey,
Hi. You're a
you
hot
think the
dog.
moon's made out of cheese?
Anyway, weird movie. It was a weird movie.
Oh,
I did a
I'd
Harry
eat it,
Carey.
and then I would finish off with a cold Budweiser.
Yeah, cool. But I'd wash it down with a cool Budweiser.
Budweiser.
Comes weird.
If the moon
Comes
was,
weird.
if the moon was made out of spare ribs, would you eat it? Just say yes, and we could move on.
I'd eat the whole thing.
I did when I was at one of the Cactus Leagues games. I did a Harry Carey line when who was the first baseman of the Cubs a couple of years ago? Like super popular.
What's this? He was an outfielder, wasn't he?
No, super whatever it was. But I was sitting, with a bunch of my friends, and they come running out, and he always wore I hate the baseball players who wear the super baggy pants,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, the
And-
old timey baggy pants.
Yeah, and they're just down to their ankles. It's just
Yeah.
all baggy. So they come running out, and I just said, look, wearing their home pajamas.
Home
The fucking guy in front of me was like, holy dude, that's funny. The Cubbies take the field wearing their home pajamas today.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, well, I guess that's enough talk about
Dr. Detroit.
Dr. Detroit.
But hey, you know what? I'll take that. Like Jay kills it with the old school movies, digging them. Ray, on the other hand, we got to get you up to speed because
Well-
I know Jay's. If he's home tomorrow, North Shore is going to be on.
I'd watch North Shore again. I said I'd watch that. I totally would watch that again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
North Shore wasn't bad.
That was good.
I grew up with like a bunch of these.
Pump Up the Volume was.
So-
I'd probably watch that again because it was so weird.
It was
Yeah.
weird.
You wouldn't
So
watch it, or
what-
you would?
I would.
He said
Yeah.
he would watch.
Yeah. I think I said I would watch that too when we were talking about that.
So next time,
Little
Little,
Mo- Little Mo-
Monsters.
Little Monsters,
Monsters.
next.
Little Monsters. All right.
Well,
Yeah,
Excellent.
stoked. Cool.
all right. Well, that closes the book on the Dr. Detroit episode.
Yeah,
Until
another
next
great
time.
film fan flashback, fantastic show.
If you want to
Faith.
throw a movie suggestion at us, or tell us what your opinion of the show or whatever movie we
Talk to
reviewed
us.
is, send an email to flashbackfaceoff, all one word, at gmail.com.
That's the name of it. Flashback Face Off. I should remember.
Yeah, that's the email address. The show's name is Film Flashback Face Off. The email address Chris is Flashback Face Off.
Okay.
Which he will hopefully get that by next episode.
Probably
not.
All right, that's it. I'm Richie.
I'm Jim.
Jason.
And Ray.
Until we flash back again.